A University of Michigan instructor recently claimed that preschool classrooms are rife with heteronormativity that perpetuates inequalities related to gender. Heidi M. Ganson, an SJW PhD student who teaches sociology at University of Michigan, advanced these claims in a July 14th article that examines the prevalence of heteronormativity in a set of 9 Michigan preschool classrooms that she visited. Ganson argues that this issue is especially important because preschools contribute to the reproduction of inequalities pertaining to gender and sexuality, such as gender roles and gendered feelings. Preschool is a good place to begin this examination, she said, because practices that facilitate heteronormativity in classrooms become more ingrained in later years of schooling. Accordingly, Ganson spent 10 months observing childhood behavior at a set of 9 Michigan preschools, finding numerous ways in which heterosexuality is produced and enforced by students and teachers. Playing house, for instance, is one area in which Ganson observed heteronormativity in the preschool setting, noting that only girls would imitate mothers while only boys would play fathers. If a girl asked to be the husband of the household, she would be quickly rebuffed by her peers, Ganson observed, lamenting that children did not allow cross-gender roles. Meanwhile, teachers apparently make similar mistakes when they refer to same-gender signs of affection or homosocial behaviors as friendly as opposed to romantic, with Ganson arguing that teachers' interpretation of the friendship makes no concession for the fact that some students might be gay or queer, even at the age of 3. As a solution, Ganson concludes by outlining disruptive approaches teachers can take, which include talking about the legality of gay marriage and showing acceptance when students participate in actions that interrupt heteronormativity. Ganson finishes by complaining that even in the preschools with the most progressive teachers, of all the ones she observed, children still engaged in heteronormative practices with peers, adding that these findings demonstrate the importance of teachers actively working to disrupt heteronormativity, which is already ingrained in children by the age of 4. But this isn't the first time such matters have been discussed. Harken back several years to Lincoln, Nebraska. This excerpt, written by Dina Winter from the NebraskaWatchdog.org in September of 2014. A Lincoln Middle School staffer gave teachers training documents advising them not to use gendered expressions by calling students boys and girls or ladies and gentlemen, but to instead use more generic expressions like campers, readers, athletes, or even purple penguins to be more gender inclusive. A handout called 12 Easy Steps on the Way to Gender Inclusiveness advised teachers to avoid separating students by gender but instead by birth dates or preferences. For example, they could ask students whether they prefer skateboards or bikes, milk or juice, dogs or cats, summer or winter. Always ask yourself, will this configuration create a gendered space? Said step 1 of the handout. In step 5 it said, when you find it necessary to reference gender, say boy, girl, both, or neither. When asked why, use this as a teachable moment. Emphasize to students that your classroom recognizes and celebrates the gender diversity of all students. In step 7, it says, look for examples in the media that reinforce gender stereotypes or binary models of gender. It won't be hard, they're everywhere. When with others, call it out and interrogate them. In step 8, it states, be intolerant of openly hostile attitudes or references towards others on their statements about gender. Being punitive may stop the behavior, at least in your presence. Being instructive may also stop it entirely. Another playful handout called the Genderbread Person said gender isn't binary, it isn't either or, and encourages kids to define their gender based on how much they align with what you understand to be the options for gender, such as two-spirited, double spirit, or gender flow. The options for expressing gender range from butch to femme and androgynous to gender neutral. The handout was written by social justice comedian Samuel Hellerman. We don't get involved with politics, he said. We don't get involved with gender preferences. We're educating kids, and we just can't be judgmental. This story was also covered by the National Review in September of 2014, and it included a PDF of the Gender Spectrum 12 Easy Steps on the Way to Gender Inclusiveness pamphlet, with the explanations of sexual orientation, gender expression, gender identity, and biology, aimed at children under 7 years of age. Whether you believe this to be some sort of Luciferian agenda or the liberal mantra towards pedophilia, At the end of the day, this is simply textbook Marxism, using minority leverage to control large swaths of a population by forcing 99% of a target group to conform to the habits or degeneracy of less than 1% of the cohort. Once again, a rural, almost predominantly white, conservative community was being culturally eradicated before everyone's eyes, and no one seems to care.